What's up with it?
We are back with y'all, and what are we going to be talking about today?
We are going to talk about that custom-made vocabulary that only Jehovah's Witnesses or ex-Jehovah's Witnesses would even understand.
Yes, and there's a lot of them, so I think we're already going to need a part 2.
Already, before we even get part 1 started, I guess we'll start from the top. Mm-hmm. So, as Jehovah's Witnesses, if you were one or familiar with it, it is not preferred for you to say God or, go to that as the title.
Yeah.
You are forced to say Jehovah.
That's like one of the first scriptures that I ever learned was
Psalms 83:18.
Yes, my grandma used to instill that in my head. Salmos 83:18. Like that. She taught me it in Spanish, so she just used to instill it in my head. And they make it like, okay, you have a name. Everybody has a name. So don't you think the Most High should have a name? Like,
it's disrespectful not to say Jehovah, Jehovah, Jehovah. That's ingrained in everybody.
Yes, it is. It's very much ingrained in you. And what's funny is whenever they had the Tetragrammaton and stuff, we don't even know if that's the correct pronunciation. That is a pronunciation that we have come up with nowadays, you know? Because back then it was YHWH. That's what it said. There was no J's. And they had multiple talks about that because I'm sure it was a common question amongst the members about that. How did you guys get this pronunciation that it is Jehovah? Because Jehovah in the New World Translation is mentioned throughout the entire Bible.
And tell them why. Remember, it was because the other Bible, they disrespected Jehovah's name and didn't want people to be aware of Jehovah's kingdom, so they removed his name. So we did the right thing by making our Bible and adding Jehovah's name thousands of times. And it's this is the real Bible. That's the illusion that everybody is getting.
They literally went through the Bible and replaced so many parts where it said God, and they said that they went back to the Tetragrammaton, and wherever it said YHWH is where they put Jehovah's name. But how do we know that to be true? I've never read the Tetragrammaton.
Exactly. We always took their word for it. We researched, and the brothers, they got the original, and they looked at this and they translated. How do we know? We just took their word for it.
Yeah. And what I think about is whenever I'm watching movies and they're translating from Spanish to English or something, I'll be sometimes it's they didn't say that. The translation is just slightly off. So
that was dead on.
It's true. When you're translating to different languages or whatever, it can just slightly change, but it can change the meaning of the scripture
easily. Another one that is very interesting. We mentioned it before, but it gets so ingrained to people. Even when they wake up, they are still saying it's the truth.
That is something that Jehovah's Witnesses say constantly, is that this is the truth. And it's a form of mind control. It's a form of manipulation because they say it so often in their talks and in their publications that if somebody says something long enough and so many times, you're going to start believing that it's the truth.
Yup, exactly. How long you been in the truth? Such and such left the truth. And so when some people wake up and don't even realize, they say, when I left the truth, no, that's the cap, as we call it. That's straight cap. There's nothing true about it. You can't say that something is the truth and you're constantly having to make adjustments with new answers that are different from before. That means it was false.
Yep. So it should be called the cap, especially once you leave and wake up from it. But even myself, I remember I was constantly calling it the truth still because it was just so ingrained in you. And that's another thing that we tell a lot of our subscribers too, is that if you've been doing something for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you're not going to be able to deconstruct overnight.
Right, okay? It's going to take a while.
Yes, you have to give yourself some grace and give yourself some time because it's just not going to happen overnight. But in those moments, you can catch yourself okay, that's another part of the mind control.
Yeah, it's let
brainwash.
Let me get rid of that.
Yeah.
Even this is something to go over a lot of heads. The organization or Jehovah's organization. When you hear organization, that's usually a business or a charity or something like that. A fundraiser, the organization.
Yeah.
Not God's chosen religion being called an organization. It sounds like a cult.
Yeah, and they call themselves the organization because that's really what they are. They're an organization and they are a business, you know. Yep. It's crazy how you can't even, I remember back whenever we would go, like, you can't say church really, like you have to say Kingdom Hall.
You got to. You are not allowed to say church. Other people say at your church is kind of cringy to a Jehovah's Witness. Like,
no, it's not a church.
Church is beneath us.
But I would say church like in school because I don't want to have to explain like the Kingdom Hall and all of that. But I think that they use these words on purpose as like, okay, these are personal to us. So it forces you to make a witness because if you're going to say, oh, I can't go to this, I have to go to the Kingdom Hall on Sunday. Well, what's a Kingdom Hall? Now you got the other person asking questions. Now you are forced to talk about what a Kingdom Hall is and what kind of religion you are a part of.
Instead of just church, and that's it.
Everybody knows what church is. You know what I mean? But they want no ties to being called a church, which is funny after all of this Norway stuff because they still want to be under the umbrella of all of the worldly religions.
Right, and still want the benefits that the churches get and not paying taxes. That's
interesting.
That's an interesting one right there. Moving on to the next one, you got field service. Cringy. I don't even like thinking back to field service. I hated field service.
It me out so bad. Yep. But that is very personalized to Jehovah's Witnesses because field service is just a natural part of their routine.
Yeah, and so explain what field service is to those that may not know.
Well, you have to go out into the world, into the neighborhoods, and preach about what you have going on as a Jehovah's Witness. So you preach about God's kingdom and basically try to recruit people into becoming Jehovah's Witnesses, even though they say, oh, we're not recruiting people. Oh, we're not trying to change your religion. Yes, they are.
More lies.
Yeah, they are.
That's like the kind of the foundation as a Jehovah's Witness. Like, if you have to do this. Yeah. If you're not doing this, I know at that time when we was there, you became an inactive Jehovah's Witness. Yep. If you didn't get so many hours, you got looked down on for not being a part.
An inactive Jehovah's Witness was like you being very like spiritually weak. It means you're not putting in enough service time, and that was a main thing as a Jehovah's Witness was your service time and how many hours you're getting, because you have to think as an organization they are heavily reliant on its members going and getting more members. This is how they became millions, because it's their members doing the work for them, going out. Like, they have very, very good policies in place to be able to get more people in.
Like a Ponzi scheme, if you think about it.
No, it is.
It's really a Ponzi scheme. And another one, we covered this one before, Apostates.
Oh, yeah, Apostates. That is they have their own definition of it, and they overly use the word as well. So basically, apostate, anybody who decides that they have come to learn about Jehovah's Witnesses and decide, okay, this is not for me, I don't want to do this. Yeah. They're considered an apostate.
And they don't word it that way. They word it as somebody that leaves Jehovah, leaves Jehovah's organization. But there's no explanation on why these people leave, and you're not allowed to talk to them or find out why they left. Yep. It's just, this person turned their back on Jehovah, don't talk to them no more. They evil.
Yes. And they make sure to make it in that way. That way, if they tell all of their members, apostates are evil, apostates are this, apostates are that, they've turned their back on Jehovah, they're going to, never make it to the paradise. If they tell their members that all ahead of time, then it's going to scare their members into never wanting to talk to them. So it's another tactic on being able to retain members.
It is. You just brought out another one I forgot about. Paradise.
Oh, yeah.
What is a paradise? The paradise, most religions teach that you go to heaven.
Once you die.
And that's everybody's thing, heaven or hell. Yes. Jehovah's Witnesses teach that God is going to come down and he's going to destroy everybody that's not a Jehovah's Witness. And he's going to clean the earth and turn it into a paradise, and then resurrect the people that passed away that are approved and then they get a chance to be in this paradise, but then Satan is gonna come back again in 1,000 years
and test you again.
Yeah, once again, and then you get to live forever in perfect health and play with animals and all that. Right. So that's a big thing, the paradise.
And that's something that's very attractive to people who are not Jehovah's Witnesses as well. It's like this promise of like an earthly hope is what they call it. And even for the 1,000-year reign where like the earth is getting cleaned up and everything, they said even then you have another chance to like, people are going to be resurrected, and then you have another chance to preach at them. Like, it's just like never
forever. It's nonstop.
Yeah.
Another one is you hear this word all the time, but of course Jehovah's Witnesses got their own definition. Worldly. Oh yeah. What exactly is worldly?
Anybody or anything that is part of the world. So if you are not part of the Jehovah's Witness organization, this small group, then anything outside of that is worldly. Yep. So you can even dress worldly. If you are like wearing a crop top, or like, I remember the off-the-shoulder shirts for a while were kind of looked at as worldly. Yep. Nose piercings, worldly. Facial piercings, worldly. Tattoos, worldly. Like, all of those things are worldly. Yep. And if you have any of them, like the tattoos, obviously they're permanent. So if you were part of the world and you got a tattoo and then you become one of Jehovah's Witnesses, you're kind of like marked by the world in their eyes.
Yeah,
like,
you
literally.
Used to be worldly. Yeah. And up until recently, these.
Yeah,
straight from God. God considered this worldly, and then he just changed his mind a couple months ago.
Yep. Same with locks, especially for men. But we've even talked to other witnesses where the congregations would have a problem with the women wearing locks, which a lot of the congregations that I had been to, they were okay with women wearing locks. But some of the super like uppity, real strict ones had an issue with that. So.
Yeah. Which, if it's all Jehovah's organization, it should all be the same around the clock, but whatever.
And what's crazy to me is that there are so many cultural differences. Like, if this is supposed to be a worldwide organization, then you have to face the fact that there are cultural differences. Like, in different countries, that's some of the only ways that they style their hair, Right. So it's just, but no, they want everybody to kind of just be cookie cutter.
It is. This is one right here that, of course, everybody understands like the idea of Satan, but it is pressed so much, Satan, Satan, Satan. So anything that's not a part of Jehovah's organization
is part of Satan.
That's Satan. So that includes you. If you are not a Jehovah's Witness, you are basically under Satan's control.
Yep.
And that goes for everybody. And it's pushed to where everybody is brainwashed in this fear of, oh, that's Satan. Oh, that's anything that goes bad, that's Satan. Oh man, my boss not letting me off work so I can go to this 3-day convention. That's Satan. Everything is Satan, 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 Satan.
Oh, I forgot how much that was pushed. And what they would always say is you cannot serve two masters. So it was like, if you were not making these exemptions for the Jehovah's Witness organization to be your priority and for the Kingdom Hall to be your priority, then it's almost like you're serving another master.
For real. And this
they would make it so serious.
They did. Yeah. For no reason. This is a good one right here. Your car break down, going to the meeting. That's Satan. No, it's not. That's somebody saving you.
But also, to go along with the whole Satan's world and everything, is bad association.
What does that even mean?
They used to say the same thing, like bad association. And that's another scripture that's like ingrained in my head, is bad association spoils useful habits. Bad association spoils useful habits.
And the way they twisted something so simple like bad association, like you hang with somebody to rob banks or mug old ladies. No, bad association is somebody you would think, all right, so I gotta become a Jehovah's Witness to get baptized. All right, I'm in, right? Nah, not quite. Now you got to follow all these standards, and if you're not, you bad association.
Yes, even within the Kingdom Hall, like you can still be labeled as bad association, and it could literally be for something as simple as listening to rap music or like listening to, what's it called, like rock and roll, like those kinds of like music genres. You could be labeled as bad association. If you were wearing dresses or something that weren't as modest as they would like it, you were labeled bad association for like basically anything. I tell this story all the time, but my sister and I had posted a picture on Snapchat, and I had like a pink wig, and she had her hair had turned like a bronzy pinkish orange color. And we were labeled as bad association at that time because of that.
A hair color. Even if
the hair color.
Say you get
and it was fake.
Come on now. And this is something that's kind of swept under the rug. If you are somebody that's a study, you are low-key still bad association because you're not an official Jehovah's Witness yet. So say you're not quite there yet and you hanging with a Jehovah's Witness, just y'all two kicking it heavy all the time, you would kind of get counseled on that because you are technically bad association.
Yes, you really aren't supposed to be hanging with like people who are just studies unless you're around somebody that the congregation deems as very spiritually strong.
Yeah.
So if you were around them and it was like a public or, you know, like a group setting, then that was fine. But if it was like a younger person and trying to hang out with the study, it was like, you probably shouldn't be hanging out with them, you know. They're not completely spiritually strong yet, but they were basically saying that they were bad association.
Pretty much in a nutshell. And then you have like, oh, this is a good one.
What?
The light keeps getting brighter.
Oh, we all know that is personalized to Jehovah's Witnesses because that's a constant thing for them. The light is getting brighter. Anytime that they are ready to change the rules, the light is getting brighter.
Yeah.
Like, bye.
Or the chariot is moving. Jehovah's chariot is getting closer toward the end. That's just a cover up for we don't know what we're talking about. And or something happened and we need to change this rule. So instead of just, you know, saying, hey, we messed up, we got it wrong, it's Jehovah has enlightened us with even more information and a better answer. But if Jehovah is the same and doesn't change, why does he have to keep changing the rules?
Yes.
What sense does that make?
If Jehovah has appointed this group of brothers to govern over millions of people, then how are we getting it wrong?
Ever.
When so much is at stake.
And why are your beliefs and what am I trying to say? Basically, your boundaries being set on the line based off of something that may or may not be the truth. Yeah. Why are you being disciplined on something? Everything. This may or may not be true, but we're going to punish you and counsel you on this stuff. Come on now. And speaking of that, you have the governing body.
Yes. And what's funny, whenever you're a Jehovah's Witness, is you don't even think about some of these terms, like the governing body or the organization, and link it to the fact that those are terms that go along with, you know, like a government, you know. Right. We don't make those connections or those links while you're a witness.
At all. And these are the people that basically governing body are the cult leaders. A group of dudes up in New York that control the whole world. And we mentioned before, if God has this worldwide organization, there are so many nationalities, yet there's a group of white men and one black dude that got there in the 90s that were picked by God to control the whole world.
And even now, where, you know, they got rid of Tony Morris and I think they added two more governing body members in there. And even them two, they are also white. And like, we don't make this a race thing, but you are literally saying that it is a worldwide organization and that Jehovah himself picked these people to be in rulership of like
the world,
this whole religion. So how is it that you only have such a small group of people that are doing that?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Jehovah only sees value in these people. It sounds like a company to me. He didn't see, you know, we got all these people in Asia. Not one person from Asia the God picked, or nobody from Africa, nobody from South America. Nowhere in these other regions was one person valuable enough in Jehovah's eyes for him to pick.
No islanders, nothing. So for them to be representing a whole worldwide organization and to only have the perception of like themselves is crazy.
Come on now, we know what time it is, and
no women. Let's talk about that.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Women are, and I already know that troll, that Jehovah's Witness troll is gonna be in here trying to back this up. Women are second-class citizens in Jehovah's Witnesses organization.
And we will say it again and again, because how is it that they are representing this worldwide organization and there's no women? As if like women think differently, men think differently. That is a known fact.
Right.
And to think that, okay, no women deserve to be a part of the governing body.
Like none. Not even, all right, maybe not the governing body, but at least a elder? Nah, none of that either. All right, at least a minister? No, none of that. It's like, dang.
I actually understand maybe the elders more, but I feel like they should be a part of the governing body, because why not?
And there's more women than men on this planet. So it's like, nowhere in this organization do women have a say-so. Even when it comes to giving a talk, yeah, they get to participate in this bogus little, sometimes sitting down for a couple minutes or standing up with a microphone, having a fake whose line is it anyway improv type of thing, but not to where a sister is getting up on this platform and sharing information.
Yeah, it's giving very much like a patriarchal organization.
Yeah, that's all it comes down to. So you got your governing body as the leaders, and then there's many other titles. We'll just cover a few, like your circuit overseer. He's basically like the you know how you might have a boss of a company that he's not in-house, but he'll pop in, you know, maybe once or twice a year.
Yeah.
That's the circuit overseer. He comes in to encourage.
To different buildings, okay, like the different companies in the area.
Yep.
There's that one. There's the district overseer to go along with that, which they are like, imagine like if it was a national company, then they go even farther, okay, than the circuit overseer.
Even with the district overseer, somebody in the comments let us know. But I think it was a time where when they was making their budget cuts, they kind of got rid of that, along with when they kicked people out of Bethel. The district overseers would come. Basically, we thought it was a special occasion, like, oh, the district overseer's here. They're over the circuit overseer. But that's when JT is the one that had brought this out on XJW Critical Thinker. When something wrong is going on in this congregation, when you got to call the big boss to come put some things in order because there's some riffraff going on behind the scenes, you know, they would come in. But
that makes complete sense. So they probably they did away with. But I'm telling you, they just have all of the titles, and then once you get outside of the congregation, then it goes to like titles even in Bethel. You know, you got Bethel for one. That's like very specific to Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh yeah, the Bethelites and all that.
Yes, and then you have the Bethelites. So
that's another thing. Bethelites. That's the headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses is pretty much Bethel, and then the people that go there are Bethelites, and they are looked at as basically superior. Like they went to basically like the mosque, like Malcolm X and them, or this is like the monks that are in Shaolin. They are kind of looked at as at that level.
Yes, if you can become a Bethelite, then you are. That's like a key into being good association, okay? Yeah. You're going to be looked at as good association basically anywhere that you go, as long as you were able to like keep up that title and not leave for like get pushed away or get like kicked out of Bethel. Usually Bethelites end up leaving once they first get married or something like that. Then they have to leave Bethel.
Oh yeah. And they struggle up there. It's not like they go up there and they getting paid a wage or getting a 401k. No. You ain't got jack squat, nothing to show for it, nothing on your resume when you try to get, you know, a job in the real world. So you basically wasting your time slaving. Side note, XJW Critical Thinker, JT got videos, different parts about life at Bethel, and that stuff it's the raw and uncut. Because as Jehovah's Witnesses, you know, you think highly of them, but he give you the behind the scenes, like it's like going to college.
Yep, a little fresh.
Wilding up there. It is.
Which makes complete sense, because if you think about the people who become Bethelites, it's like a lot of younger people. Like that's one of their dreams. That was never one of my dreams, is to go to Bethel. It just did not seem like fun to me. My dream was always to like go and serve where the need was greater. That's what I wanted to do. But that's another thing, like a need greater. That's one of the other titles. And being able to go and serve to these different areas that need help, and in your head you think it's going to be somewhere nice and like out the country, but sometimes they put you somewhere in the middle of Wisconsin or Idaho, like Alaska. They put you in weird places,
weird places you don't want to be, and you are forced to be there and be happy and, you know, be thankful for it.
And within the congregation you still have the other titles, like a ministerial servant, and then you have the elders. So if you think about it, like the ministerial servant is basically like an assistant to the elder. That's the only way I can like explain it in layman's terms to like understand how it goes within the congregation.
Like tying into a business, you got your managers, assistant manager.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly how it is, like assistant managers. So they're not going to be, ministerial servants aren't going to be in judicial committees and stuff with you. It's going to be the elders.
Ooh, that's another one too.
Yeah, the judicial committees. So that's where they decide what they're going to do with you if you've done something wrong, or if you go and you confess something. They hold a judicial committee.
Yep. So how that works? So your ministerial service, pretty much, you got more say so than the average Jehovah's Witness. You got a little bit of authority. Like when y'all go to field service, you might be able to lead everybody out,
right?
Or you get to stand up and give certain talks, like maybe on a Sunday, things like that. You know what I'm saying? And then like your elders are like, how you got a reverend or a pastor, it's like a group of them.
Yes.
And then like you were saying, like judicial committees, that's when you get in trouble, which this leads us into the next part. These elders are the ones that get to discipline people. They get to approve you getting baptized.
They decide your fate.
Yep. So one of the top ones is known as a punishment in Jehovah's Witnesses?
Disfellowshipping. Like that is very specific to Jehovah's Witnesses. It's disfellowshipping. So that's whenever they excommunicate you from the congregation and nobody's allowed to talk to you anymore. And you're not allowed to talk to anybody either. Yeah, we got videos on that. The only people that can have communication with you really are the elders.
And it's not like a constant, like, hey, how you doing? It's like every once in a while they might check on you to see your progress on being recruited back in.
Yes. And then you can also go on to something called reproof. And there's private and public reproof. So this isn't as bad as getting disfellowshipped. But this is basically like, okay, yes, you did something wrong, but you showed that you were repentant. So, or that's what they say. Okay, that's what they say.
Because you can get disfellowship when you repent.
Still be repentant, yes. But this is them deciding that you're repentant, okay? It's a better way to say it. So then you can get reproved. And private reproof is basically you get your benefits taken away from you. So you're not allowed to comment at the meeting. Sometimes you're not allowed to give talks anymore, things like that.
Right. Isn't one like publicly shaming you and the other one is like low key?
One is doing it low key, like they take those things away from you low key. But the other one, they will announce that you are on reproof.
To let everybody know you did something wrong. Same with this fellowship, and they announce it to everybody. Another way of discipline, I don't know if they still do this, but it was marked talks. Yeah. Which basically, if you do something wrong, we gonna get on the platform and throw shade at you, and people gonna know it's about you. We didn't talk about this before, but that's another thing, a marked talk.
Yep. So those are some things that are just very specific to like the Jehovah's Witness organization, and just giving you guys like a peek behind the curtains of what goes on.
And this, you already know it's gonna be a part 2, so make sure y'all drop in the comments secret words and vocabulary and sayings that we left out, so we can do a part 2 and we can gather all this and throw all of our, funny memories into it and do it again. For real.
That is it.
That's it. But make sure y'all hit us on our Instagram at Awaken Truths IG. And they already know what else they got to do.
Yes. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you aren't subscribed, get subscribed, because we're going to be doing a giveaway at 5,000 subscribers.
We that close. So let's go on and take it there. 5K. Yes, indeed. On the next one, y'all. Peace.